Good evening. This is the City Council meeting for September 16th, 2019. Roll call, please.
Okay, Ms. Warren.
Yes, here.
Mr. Matusek.
Here.
Mr. McCarthy. Here. Mr. Smith.
Here.
Mr. Van Hoesen.
Here.
Mr. Weber.
Here.
Ms. Williams.
Here.
Please join me if you're able. Stand and stand the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council minutes for September 3rd and the public hearing on September 3rd.
Thank you, Mayor Becker. I move to approve the minutes of the September 16th Committee of the Whole meeting, the September 17th Committee of the Whole meeting, and the September 17th City Council meeting, as written, and dispense with the readings.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Matusek.
Oh,
Yes.
wrong date.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoesen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, September 1st. That's minor difficulty. All right, we'll move on to any special reports. Very smooth. We have no special reports. Letters, communications, citizen concerns. If you have anything that is not otherwise going to be covered by the agenda, there's your chance to speak. Okay. Administrative reports. I will, as those of you who are here, a couple minutes ago know, I have made a number of reappointment recommendations, and I would ask that council consider those for reappointment.
Mr. Mayor, I have one thing I'd like to mention. I'm just wondering why we're doing it now, since most of them are up in December at the end of this year, and why the new council could not be involved in making that process happen.
What was the first question again?
Well, I was wondering, since most of them are up at the end of this year for reappointment, if you will, why are we doing it now, October?
Well, because we were, Elaine was trying to be very efficient and make sure we got those all appointed in a timely manner. And since they were renewals, we didn't have to then go out or reappointments of people who've already served the community and served the community well. So I was happy to reappoint them. So it was very smooth. We wanted to do that early enough so in case we have to find people for positions for OS people that were able to do that in a timely manner. So we wanted to have some cushion in place in case there was some issue regarding some spots, but there wasn't. So we're very pleased with that. We do have several openings that still need to be appointed, and we will make those recommendations in the next 2 months. So that's the first answer. It just seemed like a prudent way to handle these in a timely and efficient manner.
I guess I remember before you were mayor, I didn't think it was fair that some appointments went through prior to that. And I thought you should have been involved with making those appointments. So I think the same holds true on this for the new council coming in, whomever they may be.
Well, I'm still going to make the appointments because unless something happens that I don't want to happen or a petition going around that I don't know about.
I'm aware you make the appointments. I just want to make sure that the new council has an opportunity to vote on them in January.
Okay, well, we disagree about that.
Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but anything that could happen between now and December 31st, let's say somebody leaves or somebody comes forward and volunteers before they can make their way to council, it still has to go through the administration, correct?
Correct.
Right.
So regardless.
And these people involved, these are really people where we would hope to continue to serve, and we were delighted that they all chose to be reappointed. So I think they served the community well, and I didn't expect much issue with that.
And if I heard you right, these are only the positions that are reappointments. There are still some vacancies that need to be dealt with that
We have had some
can't go
people.
before council before those are filled. These are just the
We have had some people who have given us notice that they do not wish to be reappointed, even though they have served the community well and done this community a lot of good over the time. They believe that it's time for some other people to take over. So there are some spots that still need to be filled, and we're looking into that as well.
I do understand your point, but some of that different people are coming.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be fair.
Okay, would you like the motion to be made now? Or you want to
I would
leave it?
well, just do it.
Okay, then, well, I can tell you that the appointment review committee looked at these about 10 minutes ago, which is myself, Councilman McCarthy, and Councilwoman Williams, and we agreed unanimously 3-0 to recommend that council does approve the mayor's request for these reappointments. So I would move that we approve the mayor's request for the reappointments as set forth on the agenda here.
Roll call or discussion, I suppose. Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Moore,
Abstain.
Mr. Matusek,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy. Yes. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Okay. Administrative reports from the rest of the administration.
No report,
Finance director,
Do it, no report here.
law director,
No report.
president of council.
Thank you. Well, I would like to remind everybody, it's kind of well off into the future, but we do have a public hearing that's going to be before us, scheduled for prior to the November 5th, 2008 City Council meeting, so I'm assuming it's immediately prior to that meeting on November 5th. Everyone should have gotten this in their email, it's just me reminding you to put it on your calendar. Other than that, I do have an ordinance that I would like to introduce. So I would like to introduce ordinance 41, 2019. And move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only. And to dispense with the second third reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Matusek,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen, Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance number 41, 2019. Ordinance creating a designated outdoor refreshment area for LEVIS Commons and enacting regulations.
I have some discussion.
Wow.
Okay, we'll look at that one. Okay. So, as I understand, City Council has to take action on this. For that reason, I move that ordinance 41, 2019 be passed.
Second.
Did I hear a second?
Discussion.
I have some discussion. I believe that the creation of DORA for either LEVIS Commons or downtown Perrysburg is inappropriate and unnecessary. DORAs have no effect on the amount of liquor sold within their boundaries, and they have negative effect on sales of other neighboring retailers who do not sell liquor. The basic effect of DORAs is that they allow inebriated people to walk on the street in close proximity to regular shoppers and other citizens going about their business. Drinkers belong in the bar where they interact with each other. DORAs also facilitate the purchase of liquor by underage drinkers. It should be emphasized that the DORAs are not just for special events. They are typically from late morning until midnight, 7 days a week. The legislation approving DORAs was passed by the Ohio legislature as a favor to the Cincinnati Reds baseball team to encourage drinking outside around its stadium, which is completely different from the situation in Perrysburg. I believe that the safety and security of our residents and protection of property from vandalism are issues that we should be considering. Thank you.
I just would like to see Allison or Rita could come up to the mic. I had a couple extra questions. They would mind.
Good evening.
Hi. Thanks for bearing with me over the last week since I didn't have the opportunity to meet with you.
We understand.
Couple questions and clarifications I need. I did get your updated proposal. The first question, just for public awareness, because the application was presented to us and there's specific Ohio revised code guidelines, doing an addendum to this application is okay, correct? Yes. Secondly is on the security issue, which you know that was kind of one of my big things. The cameras that you mentioned in your application, are any of those cameras in the back half of the area where the two hotels are and where Benchmark and those restaurants are presently?
Not at this time, no, they're not.
Are there any plans to add cameras back in that area?
There are.
How many do you plan to add?
We will meet with the LCOA, but right now we're estimating 6 cameras.
Will the security patrols that you mentioned, the additional hours, will that security patrol also include those hotels and those restaurants back in that area?
The exterior of those, correct, yes.
I'm sorry?
The exterior, just to clarify, you mean the patrol around the exterior of those hotels and restaurants?
Yeah, not
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
correct,
Yep,
yes.
the streets, sidewalks, parking.
As you do in the front area, it
Yeah.
would be the same type of cover in the back area.
Yes.
Because presently there wasn't quite that.
Yes, the additional hours that we put in the addendum are dedicated to those other areas.
Okay. The monitoring of the cameras, you mentioned that you're adding those on Friday and Saturday only?
Correct.
One of the questions that Mr. Weber had earlier was, or considerations was, eliminating all the parking lots. I had difficult time reading this. I don't know if it was because of my printer or what. So I want to make sure I'm very clear on that, and if you could maybe elaborate a little bit.
Sure.
This is what was excluded since the application, is that correct, this area?
No. Here, if I may.
That's definitely
I think, I believe it is.
As I said, my copy.
Let me just make sure we're accurate.
Yes, yes.
This is the area that we eliminated. Yes, yes, correct. This is the area that's been eliminated.
Okay,
So yes,
okay, so just
Yes.
parking and residential.
it's residential.
Okay. So, in your updated application then, there are still a number of large parking lots that are included in your DORA application?
What we have included in the addendum is we are removing the residential from the actual legal DORA boundary, but the rules of the DORA will require that cups not be allowed or permitted in the parking areas. So the signs will be all along within the sidewalks before you enter a parking field. It will say no DORA cups permitted in parking lots.
But they are included in the area?
It's included in the DORA footprint, correct?
That's all I have right now. Thank you very much for coming.
I'm going to speak up if I may. This particular issue, I've probably received more emails and more letters than any other issue since I've been on city council. In fact, today, I was working alone in my office and I had to go upstairs, so I locked the door. And when I came back down to unlock the door, someone had dropped an envelope between my two glass doors. The city council president, Jim Matuzak, and went, what could that be? And it was a 4-page handwritten note by someone that doesn't write very well because I think they're probably pushing 90 years old. And if that's in fact the case, they made the effort to come to my office to give me that letter, which I thought was pretty impressive. But it didn't change my opinion on how I'm going to vote. But that's just kind of how pressing this issue has been with the community. So I took the time before the meeting today, after having received that, and spending quite a bit of time trying to figure out what the note said. She was female, she was older, I believe. I don't think she included her name with it, but she said she couldn't make it here tonight because she can't make it to council meetings, but she made it to my office. So I jotted down some notes, and I'm going to read some of my notes off, and it sounds like I'm bouncing all over the places because I was writing them down as I was thinking of them, trying to try to read them off to you in some order so it doesn't sound totally incoherent. I'll try to go from the general to the specific. And to me, this has never been a hard decision, because for me at least, it's philosophical. But I did ask a lot of questions, didn't get answers to a lot of them, got answers to some of them. The reasons for my questions were to try to get some comfort that maybe I could move on my position. And nothing that I saw or heard has moved me. And I think being on city council, I try to hold myself to a higher standard. And I try to set an example to show that I'm trying to lead a stewardship way of life and promote the common good of the people in the community. And a lot of the talk has been about the economic side of this and how it's can help LEVIS draw more people in, it's going to bring in more revenue. Is it going to compete with Uptown Perrysburg or not? Uptown Perrysburg wants one because they want to compete with the other cities, and they're economic arguments. But sitting up here in city council, I think governing involves values as well as economics. Because I think it's the values that are the mortar of a healthy society. And deciding what to do always involves tensions among competing goals and values. A decision isn't always a choice between right and wrong. Sometimes it's at best a choice between almost right and probably wrong. We've gone through several iterations of your initial proposal, and then you made presentations to council. Council asked a lot of questions. You were encouraged to consider negotiating, and you did. Okay. And so now we have a document that I think attempts to predetermine some notion of correctness. And my fear is, as with many documents, compliance with these predetermined notions of correctness, rather than using responsible judgments, will kill the incentive to judge responsibly, because people will, as it says in the ordinance here, under statutory requirements, the applicant has satisfied the mandatory provisions of the Ohio Revised Code. So they satisfy those provisions, which I guess implies that if it passes and people abide by those rules, they'll be acting correctly. But I don't necessarily agree with that. I think people acting responsibly, not rules, is what contributes to a better society. And I think law, this is my opinion, I think law is not supposed to define what's reasonable. There are many ways to be reasonable, but to define and protect against what is unreasonable. And I think that's what our current rules do with our liquor permits that require people that keep their liquor inside the establishments and serve liquor, because it's protecting us against unreasonable behavior, which is to take it outside those establishments. And so those are my thoughts on this particular ordinance. So as we move forward, I don't know if this sways anyone's opinion, but that probably gives away how I'm going to vote on this. But I wanted everyone to understand why I'm voting the way I vote. Thank you.
Is everybody ready to proceed, or?
I just wanted to say something real quick, and I wanted to thank both Mallory and Allison for taking the time to sit down with me and going over the proposed changes. I do appreciate all the work that you've all put into that, as well as the administration throughout this process. It's been a interesting ordeal, as Councilman Matusik had mentioned, with all the emails and communication we received on this, it's been definitely certain days been more overwhelming than others, I'm sure. Trying to get responses out to everyone that has put on here. For me, I will say that it's come down to the question of where our entertainment district is for our community and city. That's the basis of what the DORA is to go into an entertainment district. And I just wanted to say that I appreciate everyone for reaching out, especially the email received this morning from Mr. Parsegian. That was a very well thought email that we received on that as well. But that's just where I'm going to be coming with my vote tonight. So.
I'm just going to add a couple 2 cents here too. Again, as Jonathan said, I appreciate the fact that you guys from LEVIS did take into consideration some of our thoughts and some of our impressions of what we thought about the DORA. Our job as council people are to represent the citizens. And as such, as Jonathan said, we got a lot of emails, we got a lot of phone calls. It's amazing to me that we've gotten more emails and phone calls on this DORA issue than we have on water. And to me, that makes me kind of sad, actually, the priorities. Because that's going to be one of our biggest decisions I've ever made on council, but as a side note. The original thought when DORAs were established was to assist downtown, as Jim said, with economic development. Before us is not downtown. Before us is a proposal for LEVIS. That is what we were supposed to consider, not downtown. Now, whether, depending on what the vote is, downtown comes before us again, that will be a whole, for me, that's a whole different issue, a whole different set of circumstances. No matter which way I vote, if the vote comes down to not being approved, and the second application comes before us, there will be issues that I will have, if it's during my time on council, to deal with will be just as stringent as you all saw my issues were with security and so forth with LEVIS. So for me, not necessarily a no or yes vote will be what I would vote on the second time around. So I want to make sure that's very clear in the fact that my focus has been on LEVIS, not considering another one, because that was the application before us.
I think I'll echo Jonathan's remarks about the LEVIS folks. They were very responsive, I thought, to the concerns that were raised by council. And I mean, I don't think anyone can deny that they presented a plan that's a good one. The question we have to answer, though, is A, are we going to have a DORA? And if so, where are we going to have it? And I believe that the better, I know we're not supposed to talk about the 800-pound gorilla in the room, but there's a competing application to have a downtown district for the DORA. The way DORAs work, there's one about a half block from my office, my law office downtown, so I've seen how the interactions go, and they're supposed to be, I believe, located in more compact areas where there's a certain energy that's generated by the district. And I think based upon everything we've heard, and all of us will, I think, agree at least on one thing, we've heard more about this than anything in a long, long time. I think there's substantial public support, if there's going to be a DORA at all, to think about having that downtown in the heart of our city. And after listening carefully to what Rita and Allison told me last Friday, I understood better their desire to have it at LEVIS and why it would work there, and it may very well, but we can only have one. And in my view, if we're going to have one, I believe it should be downtown, and I think that's what the people in the community want. I don't, despite the concerns that have been expressed, I mean, it's Louisiana Avenue, but I don't think people are going to turn it into Bourbon Street at Mardi Gras time if it's downtown. I think people are kind of excited about the opportunities that exist downtown. It's a pleasant social experience where people can meet with their neighbors and their family and friends. There's a development, further development on 3rd Street. I know that's not in the present downtown application. But I think that there would be a certain energy that would come with the DORA downtown. And I don't think it'll bring, if done properly, and Becky's correct, we need to be shown that it will be done properly. I think it would add another social opportunity that people would be attracted to and would support and would enjoy. And so, despite all the work and the really superior job the LEVIS people did on their proposal, it seems to me if we're going to have one, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. I mean, I'm hearing some of my colleagues say they don't want one at all. At this point, if we're going to have one, I believe it should be downtown, if done properly and presented carefully. And as a result, it's not a vote I feel great about, but I'll be voting no on the DORA of LEVIS tonight.
Yeah, I also would like to thank Allison, Rita, and Mel for addressing our concerns, especially the couple that I had, and you guys really did put out a real good application there. And I am not against the DORA. I think because I've done the research and talked to other cities that have it, and it's being used very well. It's working out well with very, very minimal issues. And all those I talked to were in downtown areas. So I also feel it's just a better fit for Perrysburg. It would be in our uptown area rather than LEVIS. But I hope you can understand it. But I really respect what you guys have done here in Linden Sports. So I also I will not be supporting it.
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Matusek,
No.
Mr. Van Huzen,
Abstain.
Ms. Warren,
No.
Mr. Smith,
No.
Ms. Williams,
No.
and Mr. McCarthy,
No.
and Mr. Weber.
No.
I guess that is it then for the President Council report section.
Very good. Finance committee? Finance and economic development.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Mack. I don't have a written report. I'm sure we'll get one out soon. Mary Jo didn't get one in time, so I'm gonna have to just speak from the head. It's gonna be a short meeting. We convened at 6 o'clock. We'll convene to executive session to discuss the possible purchase of real estate. And we came out of executive session, I think it's 6:19. And we kind of took a vote, and the three of us agreed unanimously with the city council that we approve of the ordinance that will be introduced here in a minute, that was brought to us by the administration, to purchase real estate. And that's the extent of that particular meeting. Therefore, I would like to introduce ordinance 42, 2019, and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only, and to dispense with the second and third reading.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Warren,
Yes.
Mr. Matusek,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ordinance number 42, 2019. An ordinance prescribing the manner of sale and transfer of certain real property located on 3rd Street, and more particularly described in Exhibit A, and authorizing the mayor and director of finance to enter into an agreement for the purchase of that property from Redevelopers Limited LLC and declaring emergency.
I move that ordinance 42, 2019 be passed as an emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion.
Ms. Alhire, you have the members of the city council, other than those on the finance committee, it's been brought to our attention earlier this evening that there were a few minor changes made to the agreement that you all received last week. And Ms. Alhire, if you'd like to just brief you quickly on those are, it's my understanding they're not material, but I'd like you guys to know if they would have been made before you vote on this.
Absolutely. So City Council received a draft purchase and sale agreement on Friday as part of your City Council packet. At about 5:15 this afternoon, I did receive word back from the seller's attorney following his review of the purchase and sale agreement. As President Matuzak stated, there were a couple minor alterations to the agreement, nothing is material. With regards to that, a lot of it is just rewording of how the agreement actually was drafted previously. But I do want to call attention to section 14, which would be probably the most in-depth change, really, and it really doesn't change a whole lot. Section 14 is default, and under this section, in the event that what is proposed is in the event that the seller is unable to perform as required by this agreement. And I'll get into just very briefly the summation of the agreement for the benefit of the audience. But in the event that the seller is unable to perform, the city can either demand specific performance on this or just recoup any earnest money, any funds that we had deposited in advance of the agreement. I think I had some additional language in here referencing all available legal and equitable remedies, things like that. So that was proposed to be struck. Again, it does not change really the substance of the agreement. The property remains what it is, the purchase price remains what it is, and really the charges and closing costs all remain split as it is. So for the benefit of the audience, President Matuzak, would you like me to give a brief description of what the agreement actually is?
That's up to you, but Councilman Smith raised a point here.
We do not have the exhibit A or B. It just
They're still in the process of being drafted because what we do have is some specific suggestions. I can pass out, I don't think I have a full copy for everyone, but we can pass around really, yes, what President Matuzak is holding up. The
I just want to make
benefit,
sure I knew for certain exactly what the parcel.
for the benefit of the audience, this is a 0.172 acre parcel of property that's located along 3rd Street. It's an unimproved parking lot. The owner of the commercial properties directly adjacent to that has offered to sell that property to the city. The city currently has a finished parking lot right next to it. The agreement is for $150,000 to purchase the lot. However, prior to purchase, the developer would be improving the parking lot to mirror our existing parking facility, so it would no longer be an unimproved lot. It would look just like the city's lot, and that includes landscaping and lighting. This application was already approved by the Historic Landmarks Commission in a special meeting last Monday, and would be going in front of the Planning Commission on Thursday evening for final approval as well.
I have a question for either yourself or Ms. Cabot. Since what just happened recently is today with the building, there was a building collapse there. Are we jumping the gun to vote on this tonight about the parking lot? Won't they need some area to do their construction?
As of right now, the owner of the property has not indicated that they would like to table this for the time being. It sounds like they're ready to proceed moving forward.
All right, we're ready to call the roll.
Okay, roll call. Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yeah.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Service?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Service Committee met on September 25th, 2019, and the meeting was called to order at 5 p.m. by Chairman Barry Van Huzen. Committee members present were Deborah Bourne, myself, Mark Weber. Also present were Richard Cabot, City Administrator, Laura Alkire, Law Director, and Doug Dariano, City Engineer. Authorization to purchase materials and to award contract for Fort Meigs Culvert Repair Project. Mr. Dariano explained that DGL had been monitoring the Fort Meigs Culvert, and Friday before Labor Day, they found a void development in the southbound lane of Fort Meigs Road. He said that the plans are to line the culvert, which would allow one lane of traffic to remain open during construction. Ms. Alkire said that 2 resolutions have been prepared. The first resolution is to authorize to purchase the pipe Contact at a cost of $66,000. The second resolution grants permission to enter into a contract with Moser Construction for repair work to be done. Ms. Alcar stated that DGL tried to get 3 bids for construction and they were successful in getting 2 bids. The lower bid was from Moser in the amount of $284,564, which includes $66,000 for the cost of the pipe. Ms. Alcar said that the amount of the contract was $247,010.40, which is the base bid less the cost of the pipe plus the alternate in the amount of $28,455.88. She said the resolution also includes a contingency of 13%. The total amount still keeps the project within the budgeted amount of $400,000, but allows going over the contract amount if they run into subsurface issues. I asked about the size of the pipe. Ahmed, representative from DGL, said that it is a 132-inch pipe, and the Duramax insert will be the current pipe is 132 inches, and Duramax insert will be 108, which leaves room for grout around it. I also asked about the life expectancy of the insert. Mr. Ahmed said it is 50 plus years. I asked when the original pipe was put in, and Mr. Diana said that in the 60s when the interstate was built. Ms. Bourne asked how long construction would take, and Mr. Ahmed said it should take no more than 2 weeks. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of both resolutions as emergency measures. Permission to authorize Amendment 2 with Wood County per capita recycling program agreement. Ms. Cabot stated that the city has an existing agreement with the Wood County Solid Waste District, and as part of this agreement, the city has paid $1 per resident annually. The amendment would increase that amount to $1.50 per resident annually. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of the legislation authorizing the amendment. Under other business, Ms. Bourne asked about the metal plate on State Route 25 near the cemetery. Ms. Cabot that she is not aware of any issues in that area, but she will check on it. And the result of that was that it was a utility repair that ODOT was conducting. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 5:26 p.m. and the next meeting will be Wednesday, October 23rd at 5 p.m. So I do have Resolution 59 and 60, which are emergencies, and we'll read those jointly unless there's opposition to that. So I would like to introduce I would like to introduce Resolution 59, 2019, and Resolution 60, 2019, and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only, and to dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call?
Okay, Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Matusek.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution number 59, 2019. A resolution authorizing an agreement with Contech Pipe Solutions for the purchase of materials related to the Fort Meigs Road Culvert Rehabilitation Project at a cost of $66,000 and declaring an emergency. And resolution number 60, 2019. A resolution authorizing an agreement with Moser Construction Incorporated for the construction of the Fort Meigs Road Culvert Rehabilitation Project at a cost not to exceed $247,010.40 and declaring an emergency.
I move that resolutions 59 and 60, 2019 be passed as an emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Okay, Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Mr. Matusek.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes. I would like to introduce Resolution 61, 2019, and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only, and to dispense with the third reading.
Second.
Roll call?
Okay, Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution number 61, 2019. A resolution authorizing amendment 2 to the agreement with the Wood County Commissioners for the per capita recycling program.
I move that resolution 61, 2019 be passed.
Discussion? One quick question. I know this is something that we've talked about in the past with the ever increasing cost of recycling, and not one of the questions that I've received out and about. I'm assuming that this is a way to help offset the cost that the city has with the increased recycling costs that we've been experiencing over the last year.
As part of the Wood County Solid Waste District's plan, they have to reduce the amount of refuse tonnage that goes into a landfill because you have to preserve the life of a landfill for X amount of years. And part of the way that they help encourage communities that fall within their jurisdiction, such as the city of Perrysburg, is by offering grant programs such as this per capita program. These dollars that would come back to the city are actually derived out of tipping fees that go into the landfills that are under Wood County's jurisdiction. And it is a way to help offset some of our costs of recycling. As we've spoken in the past, our recycling cost per ton has gone from the neighborhood of about $30 a ton up to roughly $130 a ton just over the course of the year. So it's something that we have to continue to explore and understand what our opportunities may be in the future, but this is a way to help offset some of those costs.
Thank you.
Roll call.
Okay, let's see, is this on the vote or is this on the?
Yes.
This is the vote. Okay, Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Safety Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Safety Committee met on September 24th, 2019. The meeting was called to order at 6 p.m. by Chairman Mark Weber. Committee members present were Deborah Bourne, Jim Matuzak, and myself. Also present was Bridget Cabot, City Administrator. Crosswalk at Front Street, West Boundary. I stated that a citizen had a concern about the intersection of Front Street and West Boundary Street, but they could not be present at this particular meeting, so this item will be tabled until next month. Discussion of the ISO report. Fire Chief Rudy Ruiz reported that the city's ISO rating has improved from a 4.4 to a 3.3, which means homeowners could see a reduction in their insurance rates. There was discussion about how the rating is figured, and Chief Ruiz noted that they only review fire protection, not EMS services. He said that his goal is to reach a 2.2 rating because the cost to attain a Class 1 rating outweighs the benefits. Mr. Matuzak asked Chief Ruiz to explain, and the chief said that to attain a Class 1 rating, they would need at least 15 firefighters on duty each day. Chief Ruiz said that there are 3 more firefighters in the 2020 budget, and the number of hands-on training hours will continue to go up now that they are in the new station, and both of these things should help them move up to the 2.2 rating. I thank the chief for his report. Permission to purchase the 2020 Ford Explorer for police. Police Chief Pat Jones requested permission to purchase a 2020 Ford Explorer from Matthews Ford in the amount of $30,843.77. This vehicle is not available under the state purchasing contract. It is available from Sourcewell, but at a higher price than Matthews. The base price is $27,628.20, and the cost of the additional upfitting, like lights and cargo storage, is $3,215.57. This vehicle will replace a 2008 Ford Taurus that has mechanical problems. It will be silver and will be used by the detective sergeant. Chief Jones said the Explorer provides more room than the Tahoe. He stated that once the vehicle is ordered, it will take 12 weeks to get it, so he is asking that it be passed as an emergency. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of the purchase as an emergency. Permission to purchase a 2020 Ford Police Interceptor Utility Hybrid. Chief Jones requested permission to purchase a 2020 Ford Police Interceptor Utility Hybrid vehicle from Matthews Ford for $43,876.33. It will be replacing a 2009 Crown Vic. Chief Jones said that the vehicle is available through the state purchasing program, but at a higher cost than Matthews Ford. The chief said that each year the Michigan State Police and the LA County Sheriff's Departments do a test on all police vehicles. The Ford EcoBoost engine came out on top, but the hybrid was second. Ford says that you can save $3,500 a year in fuel. Chief Jones said that his conservative estimate would be more like $2,000 a year. He added that there is an 8-year warranty on all hybrid components. There was a discussion about going with Ford vehicles as opposed to the Tahoes. Mr. Matuzak asked about the performance of the Tahoes and Pursuits. Chief Jones said that in videos of Pursuits, you see other vehicles passing Tahoes. I asked the chief if he sees us phasing out the Tahoes over the years, and Chief Jones said he does. Ms. Bourne said that going green is very smart, and she thanked the chief for being forward-thinking. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of the purchase as an emergency. In other business, I asked about the status of the 800 megahertz radio system. Chief Jones said that he had just spoken to Lucas County and they are finishing up the template for programming. He said that the equipment is in, and once the template is finished, they will be ready to go. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 6:36 p.m. I have 2 pieces of legislation to introduce, and if there are no objections, I'll introduce them together. Okay, I would like to introduce resolutions 62 and 63, 2019, and move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only, and dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Bourne.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution number 62, 2019, a resolution authorizing a purchase agreement with Matthews Ford, Oregon, not to exceed $30,843.77 for the purchase of a 2020 Ford Explorer for the Perrysburg Police Division and declaring an emergency. And resolution number 63, 2019, a resolution authorizing a purchase agreement with Matthews Ford, Oregon, not to exceed $43,876.33 for the purchase of a 2020 Ford Police Interceptor Utility Hybrid for the Perrysburg Police Division and declaring an emergency.
I move that resolution 62 and 63, 2019 be passed as an emergency measure.
Discussion? Roll call.
Excuse me. Okay, Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes.
Ms. Bourne.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Our next AP committee meeting is Tuesday, October 22nd, 2019 at 6 p.m.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Recreation?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our next meeting will be October 8th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you. Planning and zoning?
No report, Your Honor, but we have a few items to mention. I'll remind everyone that, on council, that is, you're all invited back here tomorrow night at 6 p.m. for the hearing on the appeal from the Historic Landmarks Commission decision. And then secondly, I need to ask Jonathan and Becky, we're scheduled to meet on October 9. Would October 16 work? And I'll ask Mary Jo as well.
Yes.
Sorry, I gotta check 3 different calendars here. For some reason, I feel like something's going on that day. And I just had an incident happen earlier today that I missed because it somehow was off my calendar. I don't want to have that happen again.
There are no other meetings scheduled that time.
Sorry, let me just double check here. It's looking like it's okay, but I can't see another calendar. I think I'm okay. Yeah, let's go with it.
Okay. Well, we'll say October 16 at 5:30, and Jonathan, if that's a problem, just let us know.
Will do.
Find something different. And then we do have an ordinance. I'd like to introduce ordinance 43, 2019, move that the rules be suspended to allow for its reading by number and title only, and dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Warren,
Yes.
Mr. Matusek,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Van Huzen,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Ordinance number 43, 2019, renaming Sunderland Drive, as originally named as part of the Summerfield Plat 1, to Valley Hall Drive.
Okay, I would then move that ordinance 43-2019 be passed, and I would say also as an emergency measure.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Matusek,
Yes.
Ms. Warren,
Yes.
Ms. Williams,
Yes.
and Mr. Van Huzen.
Yes.
End of report.
Thank you very much. Personnel.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have no report. Our next scheduled meeting will be Tuesday, October 22nd at 5 p.m.
Public utilities.
Thank you, Honor, for remembering us. I do have a report here. We had a meeting on September 25th, and it was called to order at 6:04 p.m. by Chairman Jonathan Smith. Committee members present were Jonathan Smith, Barry Van Huzen, and Mark Weber. Also present were Bertie Campbell, City Administrator, Laura Alkire, Law Director, and Alice Campbell, Director of Public Utilities. The first item on the agenda was a citizen's billing dispute from Izette and Teresa Cesari of 2099 Lexington Drive. Mr. Smith reported that since the last meeting, the Cesaris of Lexington Drive brought in a plumber, and the plumber was unable to find anything that would cause the high water consumption. This Alkire review section 1060.06 of the code, which states that no credit should be made for water. Mr. Cesari said that he is certain they did not use that much water. Ms. Gassi stated that she reached out to the meter manufacturer, and they stated that air in the line will not make the meter run faster. The manufacturer stated that the meter is a positive displacement meter, and if there is an issue with the meter, it would run slower, not faster. Ms. Gassi said that she's seen where something can get lodged in the back of some pump, which could cause the increased consumption, and then it breaks free from the water sump pump. Ms. Cesari said that they would have heard it if it were the case. The committee informed Cesaris that without any proof showing that the water did not enter the sanitary sewer system, unfortunately, we would not be able to grant any type of credit. The next item on the agenda was approved change order 1 for the contract with RG Zachrich Construction for post aeration and primary bypass. This council requested approval of a change order to the contract with RG Zachrich Construction in the amount of $4,564.78. The contract was for post aeration and primary bypass work at the wastewater treatment plant. Ms. Gassi said that during the construction there were poor soils, so tilling had to be done. The work has been completed, so Ms. Gassi requested that it be approved as an emergency. Mr. Smith asked if this work exceeded the contingency. Ms. Gassi explained there was no contingency included, but the administration is looking at including contingencies on contracts moving forward to give some flexibility in the case of unforeseen circumstances. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of the change order as an emergency measure. Next item was the award of the Hickory Loomis Waterline Project. Ms. Gassi requested approval of the contract with Cast Services LLC in the amount of $506,401.61 for the Hickory Loomis Waterline Project. She said the cash services was a little better, and since the city's not worked with them before, the references were checked and there was no issues. Ms. Gassi said that $50,000 was inserted as a bid item for contingency. Mr. Van Huzen asked if we will be doing a 10% contingency in the future. This cabinet said that it will be analyzed on a case-by-case basis, and it will be different if the project is below ground versus above ground. The committee agreed 3-0 to recommend approval of the contract with Cast Services LLC. The next item was the 2020 budget. Ms. Gadget distributed budget worksheets for the 331, 332, 401, and 402 funds. I'm surprised they didn't leave that all out without stumbling. To the committee. She did a brief overview of the large projects and said that there were no additional personnel proposed in either water or sewer. The committee will discuss the budget further at next month's meeting, given the next item on the agenda, which there's a typo on there. Next item was the water options updates. Ms. Gassi called attention to additional information received from Jones and Henry, Perrysburg and Walney, or Perrysburg alone, where to go with the Bowling Green water. Mr. Smith called attention to the water bill agreement with Bowling Green for the purchase of water, as well as the Pokemeyer study conducted by the Wood County Economic Development Commission and the presentation from Jack Jones in 2018 with updated projections. Ms. Cabot said that she believes the agreement, that would be the water bill agreement, would be similar for Perrysburg, except we would have capital improvements and none were needed with water bill. Ms. Cabot noted that the consultants, Joe Henry and Paul Meyer in the Wood County report, are making the assumption from conversations with an assistant utility director that Bowling Green plant expansion can be handled with the existing rate structure. Mr. Smith pointed out the Paul Meyer study that they anticipate 1-2% increase over the next 30 years, which is different than the Joe Henry study. There was discussion how these projections were determined in both reports. Mr. Smith asked where in the Toledo contract it says it's a cost of service contract. As Ms. Granada, Toledo's legal counsel, stated at the committee of the whole meeting. Ms. Alkire said that Exhibit E gives a baseline methodology and breakdowns of what variables are to be considered in the rates. If the Toledo City Council were to raise the rates without using that methodology, they would breach the contract and Perrysburg to utilize the remedies in the contract to leave. Ms. Alkire also mentioned that if Toledo does breach the contract, that Toledo would be responsible for the cost for Perrysburg to leave, and Perrysburg would not be responsible for Perrysburg's share on the bond notes. Ms. Alkire stated that the Toledo agreement, for the first time, we have how the rate is to be constructed, and we have an advisory board that we have a representative on. Mr. Van Hoosen asked what is behind the Toledo's accommodation. He said that the contracting community basically came up with no other options, and it seems too good to be true. Ms. Cabot basically came up with no other Ms. Cabot said that there is a new administration and new city council in Toledo, and they agreed that this is what is best for the region. Ms. Alkire said that we may not be able to predict human behavior, but she feels the language in the contract is clear and concise, and if Toledo takes arbitrary action to raise rates, the contracts have a clear remedy. Mr. Van Hoosen also noted that Bowling Green knows we had a certain level of interest, yet there's been no dialogue. Council member Tim McCarthy said that in his opinion, Toledo is coming around because the Toledo contract began with the Toledo Chamber of Commerce in Tawa, and Toledo business owners are pushing the city. He said that his unease with Bowling Green is that the cost is $100 million to expand, and the question of whether it's already built into the rate structure. Mr. Smith said that a first reading will be done at the next city council meeting to encourage public comments. There being no further business, the meeting adjourned at 8:09 p.m. And our next scheduled meeting is Wednesday, October 23rd at 6 p.m. So with that being said, I'm going to read each one separately as they each have something a little bit different about. The first item on the agenda that I would like to introduce is Resolution 64, 2019, and moves rules be suspended to allow for reading by number and title only and dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution number 64, 2019, a resolution authorizing an agreement with Cash Services LLC in an amount not to exceed $506,401.61 for the construction of a water main replacement along Hickory, Loomis, and Orchard and Colony Streets.
All right, I move that Resolution 64, 2019 be passed.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
All right, I would like to introduce Resolution 65, 2019, and move that the rules be suspended to allow first reading by number and title only and dispense with the second and third readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution number 65, 2019, authorizing change order number 1 to the agreement with R.G. Zachrich Construction Incorporated for the construction of a post-aeration and primary bypass project at the wastewater treatment plant for an increased cost of $4,564.78 and declaring an emergency.
I move that Resolution 65, 2019 be passed as an emergency.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Ms. Warren.
Yes.
And you have one more item here, and my hope is, I'm looking at our mayor here, that anybody does have any comments or questions on this, if they would like to come up after we introduce this for its first reading. With that, we would like to hear from everybody. So I would like to introduce Resolution 66, 2019, and move the rules be suspended to allow first reading by number and title only.
Second.
Roll call.
Okay, Ms. Warren.
Yes.
Mr. Matuzak.
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Van Hoosen.
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Resolution number 66, 2019, a resolution authorizing a uniform water purchase and supply agreement with the City of Toledo and declaring an emergency.
If anyone has any comments, I'll get a chance. Seeing that we have one. I know your name, but would you please
Now,
state
is
your
it
name?
possible that I can sit?
Oh, okay, that's
I'm
fine.
being treated for back injury.
Just state your name and address then.
Sure. Chris McBiner, 26514 West River Road. The reason why I've taken such an interest in this, my father's engineering firm, the present name is Arcadis, but they did design Collins Park in Toledo in 1950. There was an article in the New York Times about Toledo having probably the best water treatment plant in the country. And they also designed, about the same time, 1949, 1950, Bowling Green's water treatment plant. I was pretty familiar with the construction of both of those plants because I went with my father quite a bit when he went over there to check on the construction and talk with the water treatment managers. And the thing that's most disappointing to me that I think we should look at, Toledo is not taken good care of that water treatment plant. Bowling Green has. I can say that with absolute certainty. I saw the condition of the Toledo plant 5 years ago, and it was not good. And I guess I would say the confidence that I have in the city of Toledo in taking care of that water treatment plant, pretty obviously they used the profits from that plant and they went into other, I guess, city areas, whether it was overtime for city workers. But it's disappointing when you build an awesome water treatment plant like they did, and it's mentioned in the New York Times, and then they let it fall into decline like that. So I guess I have a little bit of a confidence situation with the city of Toledo. But the most important thing here, let's make it perfectly clear, it's the water quality. And I noticed that Perrysburg, I was talking to you, Mayor Mackin, about that maybe about 3 weeks ago. There is a water quality test that was done here recently on Toledo's water, although I don't know exactly how to interpret it. But one has not been done on the quality of the Bowling Green water. And the only thing that I can tell you, the last 30 days, every night, I've gone upstairs, I've taken the tap water from Toledo, and within a few hours, there's like metallic material there, it's on the surface. Now, I did talk with our water treatment people here, and I am told that that comes from alum, which is basically what they're treating the water with in Toledo, and that eventually will be replaced, I believe, with, I think she said, ozone, which is what Oregon is using right now. But my biggest concern is this. I looked at the overall cost. Yes, because we have to build new water distribution systems from the Bowling Green plant to Perrysburg, but then you're going to have brand new all water distribution systems, and we have older water distribution systems that we have now that will have to be replaced in 20 or 25 years. So I guess the question in my mind, is it a fair comparison if we're building brand new water distribution systems coming from Bowling Green as opposed to the older systems that we have right now that will have to be replaced in 20 or 25 years? I'm just trying to get us to be realistic because let's face it, Perrysburg is the only Toledo suburb that has a viable alternative because of Bowling Green. I mean, Waterville did take advantage of that a year or so ago because it was right across the Maumee River from the plant. But we're the only system that could possibly do that. And we're the only suburb in Toledo that's really growing. So we are going to need water here in the future. And I guess my feeling is the quality of the water is the whole issue. We should not settle for anything less. If they're doing a better job with their water quality, we should certainly carefully look at it and test it, because to get locked into a long-term contract with the city of Toledo is not a great idea unless we have some sort of an escape clause that says if water quality is not up to the standard that we expect in Perrysburg, and then we could get away from it. I just feel like if track record was there for Toledo in the last 25 to 30 years, I would feel differently. But I don't, and because basically I was involved in the construction of both those water treatment plants, and I know how good of care Bowling Green's taken of theirs. They've taken tremendous care of them. To me, this is an issue that everybody should look at, and patience is a virtue. I don't see why we forced into making a decision here on Toledo's timetable without looking at everything carefully. You know, I guess I feel like it's a very important issue. There couldn't be anything more important to community than the quality of water. And I just want us to take a look at everything. I have nothing against Toledo, other than the fact that past history is not what I think is probably in the best interest of the people. And so for that reason, I just want everybody to look at everything carefully. I would like to see Bowling Green's water quality study. I did talk with Daryl Stockberger, and Bowling Green they could supply the water to us. It would probably take a couple of years to be able to do it, but to upgrade their plant and to get our distribution lines in place, but it's definitely possible. And so I guess I would like to see everybody carefully look, not to hurry into a decision because Toledo's putting pressure on us, so that we do the right thing for the next 50 years in the city of Perrysburg.
I would just, with regard to water quality question,
I actually had the test results right here for Bowling Green and Toledo.
Oh, you do have
we did.
Bowling Green?
After I talked to you, we went and looked, and we found out. I'll let you answer to get the chart right there.
Well, I don't know the technical details, so I'm looking at our public utilities. I see the numbers here myself, but I know we had a conversation at the Public Utilities Committee meeting, and from the conversation we had, that they both are in line to be equal quality water samples, and this was conducted by Jones and Henry Laboratory. They did a collection on September 18th. The Toledo one was done at 1,300 hours, and the Bowling Green collection was done at 1,325 hours.
And were they approximately similar?
They were not. When I'm looking at numbers, the numbers are different, but according to Ms. Gassi, and I will ask Ms. Gassi to clarify the answer to this as she's getting her paperwork out, is that the indication that Ms. Gassi gave us that they were both within the parameters of the US EPA standards.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure that to be that's the utmost importance.
The members of the Public Utility Committee meeting that took place last week did receive the analysis that Jonathan Smith was just alluding to, and I cannot remember if the Utilities Director sent it out also to the rest of Council, but the results are not identical, but they indicate that they are very similar, very close, and as Mr. Smith stated, they all fall within the parameters and guidelines that are set by the OEPA. Yes.
So,
well, the one thing that I noted, you know, with the distribution system, yes, it runs up the cost quite a bit, but if you look at that carefully, they put a 30% contingency in there. And if you take that 30% contingency out there, they're pretty even, because I looked at them carefully, and that's what drives up the cost of the distribution system, is the fact that they put that 30% contingency in there. So I just want everybody to be, you know, really careful about the way they go about this, because water is so important. And to see what Toledo, the way they took care of the water treatment plant, not good.
Sorry.
That simple, not good.
I think you have your email, so I'm trying to scan this right now, and I'm going to email it over to you.
See, you asked, so that was a good question, so that's what we went and tried to find out an answer to that part of the question for you.
We did ask a question in regards to the legal contract as well, that there's, I guess, teeth in the contract that states that if Toledo's water quality goes down, that the entity can go out as well. And I'm looking at Ms. Elkhire to see if she happens to have that answer as well. I believe that I recall reading that in there, but I rely on our attorneys for a reason.
That is correct. In addition, the city of Toledo, whether upon request or even on a regular schedule, will be providing the contracting communities and the Regional Water Commission with all regular EPA notices, and so that we have an understanding of what's happening not only at the plant but within the distribution system. So that was one of the things that both the technical and the legal team who negotiated this contract wanted to be aware of. And that's also especially important because under the terms of this contract, the Regional Water Commission will recommend what capital improvements need to be done. And that is in excess of the $500 million worth of improvements that are already either underway or being planned for the plant.
Anything else?
I'm also emailing this to the rest of the council too.
Okay.
So you'll have your email.
All right, do you have anything else? Jonathan, this is the end of your.
Oh, that is being recorded as I'm trying to get this email out, so. Thank you very much, Your Honor, for remembering the public utilities and how much time we always like to take.
We appreciate that. Any other business?
Mr. Mayor, we'll be voting on the water October 15th.
Yes. No further business coming for council. We're adjourned.